All right, what's up, guys? Making another video here. Do a little bit of recap probably, and then look ahead into maybe what to expect for the coming week. So yeah, let's just get into it. I mean, last week, what a ridiculous move last week. Um, I mean, just crazy. Look at these 5 bars: one, two, three, four, five. Um, I'd say the last part probably caught me off guard. We'll kind of touch on that a little bit later. Um, in my last video, I know I was saying that I had kind of expected the market to maybe take a pause for a second, maybe consolidate before it resets up, and I mean, it didn't really do that at all. On Monday, kind of had this open lower in futures, but by by cash open, actually we can just look at um here, pull up the 10-day, 30-minute chart. Yeah, so you can see on Monday opened lower, and then overnight it was just kind of getting bid up a little bit, and then you know come cash open just off to the races. Um, so again, I was kind of saying that I thought the market needed to chill out, pause, and market had other ideas, right? Just a good reminder that just because you think something needs to happen in the market, right, price will always kind of, you know, there's no arguing with it, right? It'll be the ultimate decider. Um, we can see here, right, in SPY, Monday got a touch of the 4 EMA at open, and since then it hasn't even touched it once. Um, just madness, really. I think this is probably the craziest move I've ever seen or been a part of in markets. I know that things similar to this have happened in the past, although they're very, very few and far between. Um, I saw a stat that a move like this has only happened 2 other times since 1950, and again, that who knows? That could just be complete misinformation. Um, and that doesn't really mean anything for where the market goes from here, but I just think it really does speak to the idea that this recent move has been just insane. um, I mean, what's this? Oversold to overbought on the daily chart, and not that RSI is the end all be all, but what's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oversold to overbought in 13 days. You could even say 12 days, right? Um, that's crazy. It's crazy. Um, and I'd say I'd kind of mentioned it a few minutes ago, but I'd say the last kind of chunk of this move caught me a little bit off guard for sure. I had a really good day on Monday when the market did open lower and got bought back up. I bought the dip, played into that strength. So I'd say I was solid, to start the week, but then kind of kicking myself for not having a little bit or kind of keeping a little bit more exposure on throughout the move. Um, Once we started, the word everybody's throwing around right now is extended, right? The market's extended, it's extended, it's extended. And it is, but just because it's extended doesn't mean it has to do anything about it, right? The market's always going to do what it needs to do to keep the most amount of people off sides and surprise the most amount of people. Um, but yeah, I kind of made a little list here of my good and bad, right? This is my super in-depth 5 bullet point list. And I'll just kind of talk through these a little bit. So the good thing is, right, what I've been doing well is I've been long, right? I've been having positions on, or I've had exposure on, um, which not everybody can say the same. I've been seeing a good amount of people who are just baffled by this move, who thought the market was just going to completely crash and didn't change their viewpoint. And I've been in that boat before, right? I'd say a few years ago, I probably would have missed a huge chunk of this move. So that's why I put it in my good category, right? Good that I was on the right side of the market and kind of um, made some changes in here to capitalize on this, right? So good that I've and I've although I don't have as much exposure on as I would have liked, which is one of my bad bullet points. I have still been remaining long and carrying positions, you know, as long as this is a super strong market, right? Um, so I have had positions on. I know this is kind of I'm really trying to work on getting better at not being so all over the place in the videos and having it be more organized and thought out, but you know, can only do so much. Um, and then they all just kind of tie in together, right? Like taking profits, kind of these three are honestly like kind of the same. Not keeping enough exposure on and taking profits, right? I think that it's important to understand that this current move really is an outlier to the upside. Um, and you generally do want to be locking in some gains when the market becomes extended. And I think that doing that over the long run will prove to be beneficial more often than it'll prove to be detrimental to performance. But this is just a case where and just a crazy outlier move to the upside in a super strong market, and I didn't have as much exposure on towards the end that I would have liked to have. Um, but been locking in gains again, still performing well. And then rotating with the market, right? Just we kind of saw leaders cool off a little bit, money flow into other areas, right? Um, so when we saw kind of this consolidation period for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, 6 days, or whatever, we really saw a lot of the FANG names kind of take the wheel during these days. Um, just good moves. FANG names, right? Or Mag 7, whatever. Look at Amazon, crazy. Um, but um, when other things kind of cooled off, we saw, or just like random growth stocks too, also kind of going. They all kind of like go on different days. Like the money really does like flow in a circle almost. But then I was back positioned in the leaders again for kind of the break of consolidation, right? So in other stuff, kind of while this is going on, and then actually repositioned here in Sienna. Um, Back into some of the leaders. So yeah, that was what it's been. What 8.5 minutes, and quick little overview or recap, I guess, of my week. A sporadic recap at that. Um, but yeah, I guess going forward, like, this market is I would expect any dip. That was kind of my tone last week, right? I I didn't think the top was in. I was just thought the market needed to kind of cool down and relax for a bit before continuing higher. And it kind of feels silly, but I almost just want to say the same thing again. This extension and this move is just so abnormal. And again, I'm not bearish on this market. I just think that it has to kind of, you know, relax. Just take a breather for a second. And maybe the leaders will continue to go while it does that. We'll just have to see, but I mean, right? I thought that last week, and Price had other ideas. And if it just continues to climb, I'll continue to have positions on. Um, but I would love, 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 love to see the market pause. Even, I'm not saying it needs to come all the way back down here. It may. I don't think it will. I don't know why it would do that. Um, but just coming a little bit, and then probably I would imagine. I mean, I would be a buyer. Um, at least that's the thought I have right now. Right, something would need to change for me to not be a buyer at kind of these short-term moving averages. I mean, that SPY cues look even more ridiculous, right? Like people aren't even calling this a V-shaped recovery; they're calling it I-shaped because it's literally just been straight up. Um, you can see RSP, which is equally weighted S&P. So there's good participation in this move up as well. Equally weighted tech. I mean, how about that, right? The Fang name, or I keep saying Fang, the Mag 7 names, 8, Grade 8, whatever, who knows, whatever nickname, whatever goofy nickname you want to give these things, right? The Mega Cap Tech. Um, when that was lagging, you had a ton of participation in some other tech names, right? In other areas. And that's still true, right? And now that you're kind of seeing those big uh, mega cap tech names get going, the market is really just, I mean, it's firing on all cylinders. Honestly, it's very strong. Again, very strong, but I think just in this little kind of short-term period, it feels so stupid to say the same thing I said last time. But I'm just kind of like the fact that the market is extended here isn't like it's not really up for debate. It's just kind of fact. I mean, this is very stretched from its short-term moving averages. And look how far it is above the 20 period moving average here. Just I mean, this is right. This is a lot of space. Um, so we'll kind of see what it wants to do. If the market wants to just keep going higher, I'm going to keep being involved. Right now my plan is to buy any dips that come. I would imagine they'll be somewhat shallow. But we really don't know, right? That's what I think now. And then something could happen tomorrow, 2 days, 3 days from now, and I could just throw all those thoughts out the window based on what's going on. Um, so we'll have to see. Hopefully, I didn't just mindlessly ramble and make no sense for 12 minutes, but we'll see. Um, let's see. Mentioned, I guess we can look at small caps, right? Again, just out to new highs, strong. There was good participation in this rally. Um, yeah, a lot of names making new highs, a lot of strong charts. I had mentioned, I guess we can just do quick kind of macro overview. Crude here, kind of bouncing off the 50-day initially. We'll see what this wants to do. There's this noise about the straight stuff again, whatever. Um, but want to see, crude continue to come down. Honestly, just kind of fall off the face of the earth would be good. The VIX pretty low, and with the market being extended, right, you'd expect a pretty kind of subdued VIX. I think this was actually green. Something I've been watching intraday. I kind of use this window, and I'll just kind of see what vol is doing intraday in comparison to what the market's doing, right? And there's been a couple days where vol has been up and market has been up, which is generally a red flag for equities, right? Like kind of a caution flag, so to speak. But the last 2 days that's happened, vol has actually been the one to, or the VIX has been the one to kind of get whacked, right? Someone's come in and kind of smacked it. Um, so we'll see, right? Want to see VIX kind of just stay subdued. Um, we'll see what happens there, right? Dollar last week looks like it was down, although had a strong day on Friday. We'll see what happens there. I don't really know what's going to happen with the dollar. I'm not like some macro expert. And ultimately, I just kind of follow price. Um, Price knows all, right? It's all being. It's omniscient. Um, so we'll see, right? Let's see what else. Kind of start going through some of the sectors now, I guess. Um, XLF, I think I had mentioned this in my last video. Pretty strong here, right? Like pretty strong candle off the value area. Now just kind of trending higher. It looks like it did find some resistance at the 200 period moving average though. So that's the group as a whole. But if we dig into some of the individual names here, right? Citigroup, that's really strong. They had earnings on Tuesday, so they price had a good reaction and just kind of trending higher, right? Look at the weekly. The weekly is kind of weekly breaking out of this base here. Nice strong candle. Don't really see anything wrong with that. Maybe it pauses if the broad market pauses, but looks strong. Morgan Stanley, another one, kind of real strong move. Consolidating its gains, did make new highs. Consolidating its gains a bit more than Citi, which I don't really think is a bad thing right now. Is what it is. I don't know why I started with financials, but like look at the semis. I should have went to the semis first after my index rant. Like I don't really know what else to say other than ridiculously strong in an uptrend, right? Trending up, continuing to be the leading group or a leading group, if not the leading group in the market, right? If we look at some of these moves, Intel, like I I I mean, wow, they have earnings, or I don't know, at some point. Could probably look, but I'm lazy. I guess I'm not that lazy because I'm typing it in right now. Um, yeah, they report Thursday, the 23rd. So maybe it runs up, kind of ran up into earnings, right? So we'll see what happens there. Look at some other semi names, right? AMD just kind of coming off this base, off its 200 period moving average. And on the weekly, right, this is also top of the value area. Just crazy move, right? New out to new highs, strong. Nvidia started to participate. I think this weekly chart actually looks pretty good. I'll clear this drawing set here. But right, this is just kind of a big bull flag. At least that's what it looks to me right now. And then looks like it's caught its footing here with this recent rally. See what it wants to do from here. MU is another one. This is a setup that I'm actually watching. Still kind of like a pretty tight weekly chart. But if you wanted to be long, and I think I might just kind of do this based on how the week starts out, just kind of be long above this top of value here, long against that, and see what it wants to do, honestly. This is kind of a good looking setup, right, in the semi space. There is another name. Oh, I always talk about AMAT. I don't know why. I just a big fan of this name. Obviously not as, strong as some of the moves above highs as we've been seeing in other names, but I think it was up like 10% on on this day, which that's a huge move in itself. And it's just kind of been consolidating its gains into these short-term moving averages, and now closing back above its 4-period moving average. Just a personal favorite of mine, right? A name I like. I just have bias towards it. It's one of my go-tos. But there are some stronger names in the space, undeniably, and just good setups all around, really. I've been seeing this name on Twitter. This is a semi, just like very, very strong, powerful move up, just sideways, and then continues higher. kind of the definition of strength. Um, we'll go through some of these kind of optical names, right? I think in every video I've made, I've mentioned that this is like the leading group in the market. Same thing as semis, a leading group, if not the leading group. They're both kind of very strong. But some of the names here, right? Sienna, just pretty much is just only going up. Had a nice move up, flagged right back into its moving averages. Buyer stepped in, right? Shares changed hands here. New buyers in, old sellers out. And then looks like it wants to kind of continue higher here. Same thing with light. Just very strong chart. Similar story here. Corning was a little bit weaker on Thursday and Friday just because they had a downgrade. They got downgraded Wednesday into Thursday. I ended up playing some of this for a day trade, just kind of buying. You can actually probably zoom in, see kind of how I played it. Yeah, here. I think I bought somewhere in here maybe. I didn't quite get it at the lows, but once I kind of saw it hold these lows, move back above here, I think I bought it and just kind of wrote it up into close. You know, nothing crazy, but just a solid day trade. So we'll see if buyers can kind of step in here, but you know, there's reason to wonder why. I forget who the downgrade came from. My head thinks it was Morgan Stanley, but don't quote me on that. You can probably Google it. I could Google it. I'm not going to. But yeah, kind of makes you wonder why they don't like it as much. So we'll see how it acts going forward. Again, I still love. I'd say this is probably the strongest stock in the market. One of them. Maybe like it's got to be top 5. Top 5 easy. Top 4. Just super strong. GEV, another super strong stock. Let me actually. One sec, just looking at something. Okay, sorry for a second. Yeah. These two names also just kind of ridiculously strong. They're probably in there. In my top 5, I'm saying. I know probably wasn't easy to follow what I was talking about. But just another name next, right? Another kind of optical name, AAOI. Just, I mean, this is just like as strong as it gets. I don't really know what else to say. Huge move up, just flags out, and then hits its short-term moving average and bang higher. If the broad markets could do something like this, right? That'd be great. That's kind of what I'm expecting them to do right now. I'd be a buyer, right? If SPY, if this chart wanted to do something that looks like this, right? Say this is like the recent move up in SPY, just kind of coming into its moving averages here, a little pullback and continue higher. I'd be all for it, right? That'd be great. Just kind of confirm how strong the market is. Yeah, kind of touched on this, touched on semis, touched on financials. I'm sure there's a million more areas, right? Oh, I guess we can look at software, right? Software had a strong move this week. It's been an absolute dog in the market. Dog meaning bad. Usually I like to use the term dog like, oh man, he's a dog, right? Like, what a beast. Not here though. Absolute dog in the market, just a stinker, but had a strong move up, kind of back to where it was in early March. We'll see what it wants to do from here. This is what the weekly chart looks like, kind of closing above its 200 period moving average. So again, if you wanted to go long against this 200 period weekly moving average, I'd have no problems with that. I think that's, a good idea if you want to kind of step in here and say, I think took out this VPOC, right? If you want to kind of step in here and say, I'm going to take a chance here at this support level, go long, by all means, I might do that. I think that might be a good idea. I don't see why this couldn't be a bottom in software. I mean, look at this volume here on this recent down move, right? Pretty high volume. Generally, indications of a bottom, so we'll just kind of have to watch and see. But again, if you wanted to get long against this 200 period moving average, I think, that could be an idea. Yeah. I mean, there's just a ton of other kind of single names that are making good moves, that are strong, right? There's just plenty of opportunity in the market. Here's China. China's been seeing a good amount of option activity recently. I'd like to see it get above the top of value. But this is another name. Back to its kind of 200 period weekly, so we'll see. I've been seeing a lot of JD flow too. This name looks strong. I mean, I think this name is kind of leading the China group right now. Yeah, so broke into its yearly value area here from the bottom side, so maybe it will make this move. Could take a while, but back above its 50 on the weekly now too, into the bottom. Daily is above the 200, above the 50, right? This is kind of appears to be trying to turn a corner, kind of break out of this inverse head and shoulders-ish looking pattern here, right? Left shoulder, kind of head, right shoulder. It's almost kind of 2-in-1, right? You have like this mini one, and you have kind of this broader term structure here. But this is a name that interests me for sure. I was looking at BABA last week as well. I actually traded some of this. I think it was only like from here to here though, or maybe from here to here. Again, just kind of goes back to my notes here. I just kind of wasn't. I guess here's a. Yeah, I got to be more patient with the names that I get into. I know I talked about Disney in my last video too, and how I mean there was no reason for me to get out of this. I just kind of wanted to be in other things. But this is a chart we talked about, right? Kind of a lot of reasons to be long. I wasn't watching it on Monday, but if I had been and I saw it hold this bottom of value again, I probably would have been long. So kind of now hitting this VPOC, so we'll see what it wants to do here, but this chart looks super strong, right? Here's another one. It's kind of been going down for a while in a downtrend, and now, right, kind of finding a strong move off the lows. So we'll see. Honestly, if I had to pick, probably not, honestly, but kind of been all over the place. It's been half hour, but if I had to pick probably 5 names to be in, right? If you were to make a portfolio out of 5 names right now, I'd probably say Sienna should be in there. Oh, I didn't even mention Tear. This is a look at this name. Traded some of this, but like, I mean, this is a leader in the market too. So I'd say the 5 names, if I could make another notepad, 5 names that are leading, right? I'd say Sienna. Got to put Cat in there, right? Here's cat. Just, I mean, it's it's no pullbacks, right? Literally just straight up. Um, I'd say I put tear in there, right? I like tear. Um, should we also put light in there? Another optical name? Should we do that? Is that responsible? Yeah, we'll put light in there. But probably like light, and then probably like GEV. I don't know. Probably like there's just, and then there's like all these semi names too, right? There's like AMD, like that's been strong. Intel, I don't know. I touched on a lot of the semi names earlier. Um, yeah. Oh, STX. Maybe we'll take out light. Actually, we'll take out GEV and we'll put STX in there. Look at this STX. Just another, I mean, so there's a lot of right. There's a lot of strong names in the market, is what I'm getting at. Um, I like Terra a lot, Teradyne. So yeah, it's been over a half hour. I've done a lot of rambling, so I guess I'll just kind of uh, wrap it up there. Um, can look at maybe we'll look at staples real quick. Would it really be a Connor Cortado video if I didn't look at the consumer staple chart, right? So maybe if we get some rotation and the leaders kind of pause with the broad market, if that happens, maybe we see some rotation to consumer staples, right? Maybe it looks like some accumulation here at the 200 period moving average on the daily. So could be setting up, right? Here's if it pops above the top of the yearly value area, maybe you go long against that. But again, there's not really any reason to be looking at the consumer staple charts. Pepsi. I actually like the weekly on this. But I probably wouldn't be in this stuff over anything else. Maybe you get some rotation into the stuff this week. We'll just kind of have to see. But ultimately, sticking to the leaders, you can never really go wrong. I mean, some of these weekly charts are just mind-numbing. Just mind-numbing strength. Right? Just strong. Anyway, I'll check out there. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Good luck this week. Guys are gonna whoever watches this video. I got 9 views on my last one. I think 1 or 2 of those may have been me. So to the other 7 or 8 people who watched, if you've made it this far to the end, great job. You are just amazing. Thank you for all of your support on these YouTube videos. And they're not really like anything other than just kind of like a video log of my trading and kind of thoughts, I guess. Yeah. Good luck this week. Peace out. See you later.